That's not weakness. That's your brain running a program you didn't write, and today I'm going to show you how to change it. Most people earn money their whole lives without ever really understanding it. My name is Bill, and this channel exists to change that. Simple, honest financial education every week. Let's get into it. Okay, real talk. When was the last time you got a raise at work? Maybe a promotion, a bonus, a side hustle that started bringing in real cash. And when that money started coming in, what happened to your bank account? Did it grow, or did you just start spending more? If you're being honest with yourself, it probably wasn't the first option. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Most people who earn more money don't actually get wealthier. They just get better at spending. And that's not an accident. That's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. And today, we're going to get into exactly why that happens. The neuroscience behind it. The psychology that keeps you stuck. And most importantly, the specific hacks you can use to fight back against your own wiring. Because this isn't a discipline problem. This isn't a willpower problem. This is a hardware problem. And you can't fix hardware by just trying harder. Let me tell you about a study that should make every single person watching this uncomfortable. Researchers at Harvard looked at what happens to people's brains when they receive unexpected financial windfalls, inheritances, bonuses, even lottery wins. What they found was this. Within 3 to 5 years, the overwhelming majority of these people returned to roughly the same financial position they were in before the money arrived. Not a little worse off. Not slightly behind. Back to square one. And here's the part that gets me. This wasn't happening because of bad luck. It wasn't the economy. It wasn't medical emergencies or some external catastrophe. It was internal. It was psychological. Their brains subconsciously and systematically had recalibrated what normal felt like, and then spent accordingly. There's a name for this. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. The idea is simple. No matter what happens to you, good or bad, your brain is constantly pulling you back to a baseline emotional and financial state. You get a raise, you feel great for a month, then you get used to it. And suddenly that salary feels like not enough. You buy a nicer car, it's exciting for 6 weeks, then it's just your car. You move into a better apartment, and within a year, you're looking at the apartment above you, wondering how you can get there next. The treadmill keeps moving, and you're always running just to stay in place. Now look, I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, this is just lifestyle inflation. We've all heard this before. And yeah, you have. But I want to go deeper than that because knowing the name of the trap is not the same as understanding why you keep walking into it. See, your brain has 2 systems running at all times. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, described them as System 1 and System 2. System 1 is your autopilot. Fast, emotional, instinctive. System 2 is your rational mind. Slow, deliberate, effortful. Here's the thing. System 2 is the one that reads finance books. System 2 is the one that makes a budget on Sunday night and feels really good about itself. But System 1 is the one that's actually making your financial decisions in real time. Every impulse buy, every treat yourself moment, every time you open a delivery app at 11 p.m. That's System 1. And System 1 is not stupid. It's actually brilliant. It's optimized for survival in a world where resources were scarce and unpredictable. If you found food, you ate it. If you had extra energy, you used it. Hoarding resources for a future you couldn't predict was evolutionarily risky. Spending what you had right now was the smart play for almost all of human history. The problem is, we are not living in that world anymore. We're living in a world of constant abundance, constant advertising, and 24-hour access to things we can buy instantly. But our brains are still running the old software. Let me give you a visual for this, because I think it makes it click. Imagine your financial decision-making is a car. You've got a steering wheel, you've got GPS, you've got a perfectly planned route to your destination. Let's call it financial freedom. And you, sitting in the driver's seat with your budget spreadsheet and your long-term goals, you feel in control. But here's what's actually happening. There's a second driver in that car, and that second driver has been there since you were born. They're wired into the engine, and when you're tired, stressed, bored, excited, or emotionally triggered in any way, they grab the wheel. That second driver doesn't care about your 5-year plan. They care about right now. They see a sale. They turn toward it. They see a notification for a new product. They follow it. They feel stressed about money. And paradoxically, and this is the wild part, they respond by spending more because spending triggers dopamine. And dopamine feels like relief. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that emotional distress, particularly financial stress, actually increases impulsive spending behavior. Think about that for a second. The more stressed you are about money, the more likely your brain is to spend it. The people who most need to save are the ones whose brains are fighting hardest against saving. That's not a character flaw. That's neurochemistry. Here's another piece of this puzzle that most finance channels won't touch. Scarcity mindset. Researchers Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir at Princeton and Harvard spent years studying how financial stress affects cognitive function. What they found was stunning. They discovered that when people are preoccupied with money worries, their effective IQ, their capacity for rational thinking, planning, and decision-making drops by the equivalent of about 13 IQ points. 13 points. That's comparable to losing a full night of sleep. That's comparable to the cognitive impact of being clinically intoxicated. So here's what's happening to millions of people. They're already financially stressed. That stress is impairing their judgment. That impaired judgment leads to worse financial decisions. Those worse decisions increase their financial stress, which impairs their judgment even more. It's a loop, a trap, and it's self-reinforcing. Mullainathan and Shafir called this the bandwidth tax. Your mental bandwidth is like RAM in a computer. When you're financially stressed, it's like running too many applications at once. The system slows down, errors increase, long-term thinking gets pushed out because the brain is too busy managing the immediate crisis. And this is why just make better decisions is the worst financial advice you can give to someone who's struggling. Their brain literally does not have the resources available to do that right now. Okay, so where does this leave us? Because I don't want this to be a depressing video. I want this to be the video that actually changes something for you. Here's what I want you to understand. Your brain can be hacked. Not easily, not overnight, but systematically. Because if your problem is hardware, if it's wiring, then the solution isn't trying harder with the same broken approach. The solution is changing the environment your brain is operating in. And this comes from a field called behavioral economics. This is the intersection of psychology and financial decision-making, and it's given us some of the most powerful tools ever discovered for getting people to make better choices, without relying on willpower at all. The first hack is what researchers call pre-commitment. The idea is simple. Future you is going to be tired, stressed, and emotional. Future you is going to make bad decisions. So present you needs to make decisions for future you, right now before the emotion kicks in. The most powerful version of this in personal finance is automatic saving. Not, I'll transfer to savings when I have extra, automatic, before you ever see the money, before System 1 gets anywhere near it. A study from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that people who switched to automatic savings contributions saved between 81% and 168% more than people who relied on manual transfers. Not a little more, nearly twice as much, sometimes more than twice as much. Same income, different system. The second hack is called the fresh start effect. Researchers at Wharton Business School discovered something interesting. People are significantly more likely to start new financial behaviors at the beginning of a new time period. A new year, a new month, a new week, even a new day. These moments act as psychological landmarks. They create a mental separation from past failures and give the brain permission to start fresh. Here's the thing though, most people waste this. They wait for New Year's. They wait for the first of the month. But every single Monday is a fresh start. Every single morning is a fresh start. The landmark is not magical. The belief that it's a landmark is what makes it work. So if you've tried to build a savings habit before and failed, the worst thing you can do is conclude that you're bad at saving. The more accurate conclusion is that your system wasn't designed to work with your brain's wiring. Pick a fresh start today, Monday, 1st of next month, and attach a concrete, specific behavior to it. Not, I'll try to spend less. Attach an exact number. Every Monday, $50 moves to savings automatically. The third hack is temptation bundling, and this one is fascinating. Behavioral economist Catherine Milkman at Wharton discovered that people stick to difficult financial behaviors much longer when they pair them with something enjoyable. She called it temptation bundling a want with a should. In her original experiment, she gave people access to audiobooks they loved, but only while they were at the gym. People who had this restriction went to the gym 51% more often than those without it. The same principle applies to money. Only allow yourself to watch your favorite show when you're reviewing your budget. Only listen to your favorite playlist when you're doing your monthly investment check-in. You're hijacking the reward circuit, using dopamine to make the boring thing feel good. Now, I know that sounds small, but remember what we said about System 1. System 1 doesn't respond to logic. It responds to feelings. Give it a good feeling attached to the right behavior, and it starts pulling you toward that behavior instead of away from it. The fourth hack is the single most underused tool in personal finance: cooling off rules. There is a specific moment when your brain is most irrational about money, and that is the moment you want something. The want creates an emotional state. That emotional state hijacks your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision making. And in that state, you will tell yourself any story necessary to justify the purchase. I deserve this. It's on sale. It's basically saving money. I'll be more productive if I have this. I'll start saving next month. We've all been there. The fix is stupidly simple, but requires a rule you follow without negotiation. For any non-essential purchase over a set amount, let's say $50, you wait 48 hours before buying. That's it. Just 48 hours. Research from the University of Michigan found that introducing a mandatory waiting period reduced impulse spending by up to 73% for participants in their study. Not because people became more disciplined, because the emotional state that was driving the purchase dissolved. When the feeling passed, so did the desire. Most of what you think you want, you don't actually want. You're just feeling something in that moment. Give it 48 hours. Let me bring this together now because I think it's important to zoom out. We've talked about the hedonic treadmill. We've talked about System 1 and System 2. We've talked about the bandwidth tax, pre-commitment, the fresh start effect, temptation bundling, and cooling off rules. And what I want you to see is that none of these hacks require you to become a different person. None of them ask you to want different things. They ask you to design your environment differently. The people who build wealth consistently, and I mean real wealth, not Instagram wealth, they are not necessarily smarter than you. They are not more disciplined. They have not suffered more. They have just knowingly or unknowingly built systems that work with their brain instead of against it. Automatic saving removes the decision. Fresh start framing resets the psychology. Temptation bundling makes good behavior feel good. Cooling off rules kill the impulse before it becomes a transaction. None of this is complicated. All of it is counterintuitive, and almost nobody is doing it. Here's the one thing I want you to actually do before you close this video. Not tomorrow, not next month. Right now, open your banking app or your payroll settings. Find the option for automatic transfers. Set an amount, any amount, even if it's $20, to move automatically to a savings or investment account on your next payday, before it touches your main account if possible. That's it. That one action done today is more powerful than any spreadsheet, any budget app, any motivational video you will ever watch, because it removes the decision from the loop entirely. System 1 never gets to vote. You've been fighting your brain for years trying to save money through discipline and good intentions. That's like trying to drive a car by pushing it from the outside. Get in the car. Design the route. Let the system do the work. Your brain is not your enemy. It's just running old code. And today you can start writing new code. See you in the next one. Like and subscribe for more video like this.